Hey guys, this is Jaden Storm coming at you from Team Shadow Strike, and as you know, we are in a new format because BT13 Catastrophic Outbreak is among us now. So I'm going to be making a video of my top 10 decks of the format. Normally what I do is I'd make it where I talk about the top 5 decks, but there are a lot more decks that I think now with more sets out there that are capable of being one of the top decks. So this is going, I normally have like a couple of runner-ups, so I changed it up a little bit. I have my top 10 decks of the format, and I'm going to talk to them with you guys and for the format between the release of BT13 and the release of BT14, which will be in July. So anyway guys, so let's jump right into this for the new format. So for number 10, we have Liberators. Liberators are still one of the top 10 decks, just for the simple fact being that Liberators can spam units, they can gain power by having a lot of different units on the board. They still have access to units like Alfred and Garmor. Set 14, they're going to get access to Crossride Gancelot, and they're also with Gold Paladins as well. They're also going to get access to Ezel, which will be the first unit that'll be able to come along and break Link Joker's lock. So for right now, Liberators are in the number 10 spot. Still a fun deck to play. So definitely still worthy of being one of the top 10 clans. Coming at number 9, it might be a little bit of surprising, but I have playtested with this deck a little bit, and I definitely think it deserves a spot in the top 10, and that is Noob Utama. That's right, I definitely think Noob Utama is deserving of a top 10 spot in this list, for the simple fact being, when played right, this deck can just... It's weird because they have so many pressure cards. Their starter applies pressure. Dreadmaster applies pressure. This applies pressure by getting you to discard one card and your opponent binding a card out of your hands, and their boss monster, Kabuki Kongo, binds all your rear guards. So you can't intercept during that turn when they're attacking you with big numbers. So I definitely think this is a deserving of a top 10 spot. Noob Utama is a very, very deadly deck when played right. If you would like to see a Noob Utama deck profile, please go check mine out. I also have a game of it with me using it against my friend Zane with Grand Blue. So here you go. So there you go. So that's number 9. Coming at number 8 is one of the archetypes that we saw that was introduced to us from an extra booster, and that is Oracle Think Tank, the Magus archetype. If you're wondering why I haven't had a profile of the Magus deck yet for you guys, it's because I'm still missing a few of the cards. But once I do get them, I will be posting it for you. I am missing 1 Break Ride and 2 Briolette Magus. So if you have either one of these cards, please let me know and we can do a trade. But this deck is a very, very good deck when played right. The only person that I've ever seen play it correctly is my good friend Ryan. Fellow Shadow Strike member, and he has this deck fully built, and he plays it very, very well. The ability to gain +5 in a crit and being able to have so many different ways that you can control knowing what that top card is and gaining that extra 5k in crit every time you attack. Eventually that's going to catch up to your opponent, and when it does, it's going to win you the game. So number 8, the Magus archetype. Coming in at number 7 is Eradicators. One of the things that, and specifically when I say Eradicators, I am referring to Eradicator Dragonic Descendant. And the reason I'm saying that over Vowing Sword Reverse is Vowing Sword Reverse, in my opinion, it is not one of the better decks to play. If you're going to play Eradicators, Descendant is still the way to go. This format, it has a lot of Vanguards that have the ability to restand or get a second attack off, and any clan that can do that is by far one of the better decks. And Dragonic Descendant, he is an ultimate pressure card, because if your opponent guards his attack, they know on limit break he's just going to stand right back up and gain a crit. So, in my opinion, Dragonic Descendant is still one of the top 10 decks there is. Coming in at number 6 is Dragonic Overlord the End mixed with Dauntless variant. This is still one of the better decks, simply, again, just like Descendant, it has the ability to get 2 attacks off, and sometimes 3 if you're lucky to get that second attack to hit. After you've stood him with Dauntless's ability. The End is still a very high pressure card, because any time that the controller of the End has 2 unflipped damage, you wonder if they have a copy of the End in their hand, or you know they have a copy of the End in their hand, and you fear that if if you let the end strike you, that he's just going to stand right back up and go at you again. The end is definitely still considered one of the top decks there is, and that's why it gets number 6 on my list. For number 5, I am going into a deck that I don't think I've ever put in the top 10 or any of my top decks now videos, and that is a deck that I also didn't think would be that great until I play tested it and saw just how stupid this deck can be, and that is Angel Feather, specifically the Cleanup Celestial Ramiel Reverse deck. Now that Angel Feathers have a Cross-Ride Vanguard, they can keep more cards in their hand when they're a deck that already fairly generates a fair amount of advantage. And this deck allows you a lot of pressure, allowing you to damage swap a whole lot more often, a lot easier, and also allows you to screw with your opponent's damage to where they'll have less damage to flip for their abilities, screw up their damage if they want certain cards not in the drop zone or thereof. This deck is a lot better than it looks on paper. I will definitely admit that, and that's why I'm giving it number 5 on my list. I've done some playtesting with it. I only have a couple of games on the channel with it, not really good ones showing everything it can do, but I will do more in the future. This is a very good deck, so if you do come in contact with Ramiel Reverse, do not take it lightly. Number 4 goes to Dimensional Police, specifically Dayusha Reverse. I think this is definitely the card now that gives them the thing where you cannot argue anymore that this deck is now definitely a major threat. It is still maintaining the 13k body that Ultimate Dayusha gave us, and it's giving you the ability to take 10,000 power off your opponent's Vanguard, and if you happen to Break Ride on top of Kaiser, you're going to gain 10,000 power and plus a crit, and if you have that other Dayusha in the soul, he's going to gain plus 2,000 power, and now they make cards that you can do both of those in one turn. So this is definitely one of the top 10 decks out there right now. I really think this deck is going to do very, very well. I really enjoy playing it. It is a nightmare if you don't know how to play against this deck, and if you know how to play it right, you can cause your opponent a lot of problems. If you would like to see some Dayusha deck profiles, there's my friend Christian's Chaos Dayusha deck on here. There is also my version of the deck, which is the Dayusha Reverse deck profile, so you can see both of those, so do go check those out if you would like. Number 3 was the number 1 deck from the BT12 format that I announced, and that was Revenger Raging Form. So it did take a 2-drop spot, but still, there are not many decks that can go from the number 1 deck in the format and then drop only 1 or 2 spots, and Raging Form is still considered one of the better decks in the format to play. Raging Form, the ability to get 2 attacks, like I've said before, the ability to get 2 attacks off in 1 turn is very crucial, and it's very, very deadly to your opponent in the late game, and Raging Form can do that. And Raging Form does it in a way that really does not hurt him that much. By sacking off 3 rear guards and getting an extra twin drive, you're going to gain more advantage anyway to be able to replenish your field in the next turn, so it really does not hurt the controller of Raging Form Dragon that much. In my opinion, it is still a viable deck in the format, and definitely a top 5, definitely a top 3 as well. So if you are playing Raging Form Dragon, rest assured you still have a very good chance of winning quite a bit this format, because it is still a deadly deck to deal with, and if you do not know how to deal with it. Raging Form is a very deadly deck when played properly, and you have to know how to play around it if you're going against it. So, Raging Form, number 3. Number 2, definitely one of the scarier decks to play this format, or play against this format, is Aquaforce, specifically the Blue Wave Dragon, Tetra Drive Dragon decks, because of Transcore's synergy with this card, and like a lot of the other cards in this top 10 list, they have the ability to get 2 attacks off in 1 turn. That is something that is very, very deadly, especially in late game, because with this card and Transcore Dragon, if your opponent pays the cost for both Transcores and Perfect Guards both the attacks, that is 6 cards out of their hand. So it does take a lot to deal with this, and you might have to play a little bit different when you're playing this deck, so you have plenty of cards to deal with him. He is very, very scary to deal with if you do not have enough cards to guard the attacks. So this is definitely one of the best decks in the format. I really enjoy playing Tetra Drive Dragon. There have been people that have been asking me to do a couple more games with it. I will be doing more matches soon, so rest assured, guys, this is definitely one of the cards you need to watch out for. This format is going to be very, very good. And now for my number one selection for the most powerful, the best, the number one deck of the BT13 format, and the best deck that you could play competitively right now, in my opinion, is Link Joker, Starvader Chaos Breaker Dragon deck. This is the best deck in the format, in my opinion. The ability to lock your opponent, blow up the lock units, and draw cards equal to what they minus is stupid. You can neg 4 your opponent while you plus 4 and have an 8-card gap difference. It is insane how stupid this deck is when you played right. I think it is a clear-cut choice for the number one spot in the format. When played correctly, this deck literally can just leave your opponent with absolutely nothing eventually, and they literally have no more units to guard with and no more units to call. And also having access to a Tart that doesn't even need to be called behind her is insane. This deck is very, very overpowered. It is the best deck in the format, in my opinion, and you will see it a lot if you go to major competitive tournaments, and expect to see it and expect to get locked, have your units blown up, and have a very tough match in front of you if you come in contact with this. There are decks that can match up pretty well against it, but every deck can be stunned and killed by this deck if they are not careful. So anyway, guys, these are my top 10 decks of the format, so let me go over these one more time. Coming in at number 10, we have Liberators. Coming in at number 9, we have Noob Utama. Coming in at number 8, we have the Magus deck. Coming in at number 7, we have Eradicators, specifically Dragonic Descendant decks. Coming in at number 6 is Kagero with Dragonic Overlord the End mixed with Dauntless Drive Dragon decks. Number 5, Angel Feather with Ramiel Reverse. Number 4, Dimensional Police with the Dimensional Dark Robo Dayusha. You could also say this is Ultimate Dayusha with the Break Ride. It's up to you. Number 3 is Revengers with Raging Form Dragon. Number 2 is Blue Wave Dragon, Tetra Drive Dragon decks with Transcore Dragons. And number 1 is Starvader Chaos Breaker Dragon decks. So stupid. So anyway, guys, all of these deck profiles mostly are on my channel, so if you would like to see them, you can definitely go check those out. If you have questions about those decks, I will be happy to answer them. As always, guys, I have an open suggestion policy, so if there's a video you would like to see, just please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to oblige. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to always answer them. All you have to do is put them in the comment section below or send me a private message, and I will answer them. If you guys notice, whenever a comment is left, I try to always respond to it. I always like getting feedback from you guys, so I return the favor. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, please let me know in the comment section below that you did enjoy it. If you did not enjoy it, or you have a way that you would enjoy it more, please let me also be aware of that so I can make my videos more appealing to you in the future. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do for deck profiles, trade binders, random rants, discussion videos, all kinds of fun things, and matches, of course. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later.